local star and our solar system, and bringing you extraordinary form of the aurora, eclipses, sunspots and flares on the sun's surface. To understand the nature of planet Earth, we must study the powerhouse at the centre of the solar system, the body that heats and lights our world, on which everything, including humankind, depends. The Sun. The Sun is a star, an enormous nuclear reactor generating prodigious energy. Swirling magnetic fields, dark regions called sunspots, and searing eruptions of flares and prominences. Aggregation collapsing on itself. The densest material at the centre became intensely hot and nuclear reactions began. An embryonic sun had formed. Meanwhile, throughout the rest of the cloud, great swirls of material were shaping the 9 planets of the solar system. Today, the Sun is middle-aged, one of the 100,000 million stars in our galaxy, the Milky Way. Compared to Earth, it's gigantic, with a diameter of nearly 1,400,000 kilometers. The Sun is over 100 times wider than Earth, 1,000,000 times the mass. Even sunspots are several times bigger. The secrets of the Sun are revealed in its light, beams that...
So, what have we done now? Oh, I see, you've changed the channel, haven't you? You're a real little terror.
Inside NATO headquarters, the press conference stage is being set. Initial discussions about a replacement may begin as early as this weekend, when heads of government from most of the
He goes flying.
former Prime Minister Ruud Lubbers and the European Union Commissioner Hans van den Broek. One early name in the frame, Douglas Hurd, is said to be ruling himself out, happy instead with his new life as a backbencher and bank director. NATO's frankly rather tacky souvenir stall is still selling class memorabilia today. Beneath a list of the qualities of a perfect NATO member,
At Winchester now. Well, what's the latest? What's the court been told?
Well, as you say, we were expecting Mrs. Davis to be first on this morning. The judge gave the jury no reason as to why she was late, but we cracked on with another witness's former husband. He remembered a birthday party for his daughter in 1986 and it subsequently disappeared about a month later. Fred West had told Mr. Davis that the family had come back from an outing and found Heather West packing her belongings into a white Mini. Given her £70 to £100 to help her on her way. Mr. Davis said he never saw her again. About half an hour ago, Anna Marie Davis did arrive in a high-speed police convoy. She arrived in the witness box, walking slowly, sat down, and as indeed earlier in the week she gave her evidence in her wanted to cross-examine her about some points in her evidence. Whether Charmaine had always wanted to be with her mum. Mrs. Davis said that Fred West had told her that Charmaine and her mother had gone back to Scotland and had subsequently got into trouble with the police. Mrs. Davis said on the question of Heather West that her father had told her that Heather had left home and that she shouldn't tell Rosemary West because she'd be upset. And Mrs. Davis's evidence continues.
Robert Hall in Winchester, thank you.
Still to come, British fashion designers are parading their best creations, but who would actually wear them?
And a new campaign to reduce the death toll among young motorists.
But first, at least 25 people have been killed in terrorist attacks on 2 huge oil depots in Sri Lanka. Oil storage tanks are in flames and thousands of people have fled the area. The Sri Lankan government has imposed a curfew. It's asked foreign airlines to avoid refuelling at Colombo and appeal to India for help fighting the fires.
Installation. Firefighters could do little to contain the blaze as fireballs rocketed into the sky. Plumes of black smoke quickly drifted from the area and settled on Colombo, the country's capital, 2 miles away. The attack sparked panic in local residential areas and led to a mass exodus of thousands of people. It's thought the devices were planted by Tamil Tiger suicide bombers, fighting for independent homelands in the north and east of the country. Some victims were found at the refineries, but there were other casualties as well, with at least 20 people killed in ensuing battles between guerrillas and security forces. Among the dead were at least 8 soldiers and 10 Air Force personnel. Later in the morning, police found what appeared to be a getaway lorry containing a rocket launcher, grenades. The attack not only cost lives, but has wreaked an enormous financial toll as well. The value of the destroyed oil tanks and contents is estimated at more than £20 million.
Back here, the husband of the murdered teacher Eve Howells appeared in court today charged with her murder. Mrs. Howells was beaten to death in her Huddersfield home 2 months ago. 2 brothers, aged 14 and 15, have already been charged with murder. Ben McCarthy was in court.
The body of Evelyn Howells was found at the end of August in the sitting room of her home in Huddersfield. She'd been beaten around the head with a blunt instrument, probably a hammer, but police still haven't found the murder weapon. The 48-year-old teacher worked at a school in the town. Her body was discovered by a member of her family. 2 boys who can't be named for legal reasons have already appeared in court in Huddersfield, charged with murdering Evelyn Howells. Today, Mrs. Howells' husband David sat in the dock surrounded by prison officers and police, while his solicitor told magistrates that Mr. Howells categorically denies murdering his wife. After the hearing, which lasted almost an hour and a half, David Howells was remanded in custody. He'll appear again before the court next week, along with the 2 boys who've already been charged with murdering Evelyn Howells. Ben McCarthy, ITN, Huddersfield.
England's rugby union manager Jack Rowell says he's stunned by Rob Andrews' decision to quit international rugby. Andrew, who has 70 England caps and is the country's record point scorer, announced his retirement last night. Graham Miller reports.
For the first time in his unblemished career, Mr. Squeaky has blotted his copybook. After signing for Newcastle in a blaze of publicity last month, today he's coming to terms with being sacked by his old club Wasps. His £150,000 a year role with Sir John Hall demanded a recruitment drive. Wasps felt betrayed when he signed 2 of his teammates and now say they won't pick him anymore. His drop goal that took England through to the World Cup semi-final is the stuff of legends. He was hoping for his 71st cap against South Africa next month. He even trained with the England squad last weekend, with a view to facing the world champions tomorrow.
While everyone seemed relaxed enough, it's hard to see why